at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to another edition here of the Patriots Touchback Podcast. It is me, your host, Carl. I am joined, as always, by my three fellow comrades, DJ Ferrero, Henrik, and, of course, Nick Cosgrave. And for this episode, we have a new member for the Patriots Nation for coming on to this podcast, Mr. Luke O'Brien. Luke, how are we doing this evening?
Very good. No, thank you very much. Great to be part of the Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Absolutely. Just a quick one. What made you become a New England Patriots fan? How long have you been supporting them? And what is your best memory, or what is the one play that you think stands out? Goes, wow, This is why I'm a fan.
So I went over to Boston back in 2008. Knew nothing about any of the sports, the American sports, and just decided I'm going to get a jersey of every Boston team. Sure, why not? So I went and got the jerseys. Then I decided I'll buy Madden. Sure, I might as well get into it. And I came home, kind of got into it, came home, and my friend said, why don't we go and join the local American football team? And I said, yeah, okay. I knew very few of the rules or anything like that, but I joined anyway. And I played for about 7 or 8 years, and I was coaching up until this year as well. So I've been kind of involved with the game, playing and coaching the game for quite a while. And from a Patriots point of view, yeah, it was just luck of the draw wherever I could have gone anywhere in America. I literally knew nothing about American football at the time. So it could have been any team. Thank God it was the Patriots. And I suppose favorite moment being, I think it's a weird one, but the Kenbrell Tompkins catch against the Saints. I don't remember going so mad for a play than that one. I think I actually watched it the following day. I think it was a primetime game. I watched it the following day. I remember coming home from work and watching it and just going absolutely insane, jumping around the place. So I think that's probably one of my favorite moments. Obviously the Super Bowls, the Falcon Super Bowl was amazing as well, but that's probably just the one regular season game anyway that stands out for me.
Excellent. No, that does stand out. It was also a humongous comeback as well by New England as well to win that. So that was just, I would have loved to have been in that stadium. Absolutely rocking then. Okay, so we are going to review, first of all, the preseason game that happened last Thursday, and that was, of course, against the New York Football Giants. Unfortunately, didn't end the way we was hoping for. Ended Patriots 21 and the New York Football Giants 23. DJ, what are your main points from what you witnessed during this defeat to the Giants?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So basically, I think we all kind of touched base on our podcast last week about how we all kind of discussed where we didn't think the starters were actually going to start the game. That did actually pan out to be the plan at the end of the day. I was more intrigued and interested to see who would step up, who would gain those reps that we really wanted to see, that would kind of step up into season 2 or year 2 with the Patriots. So yeah, I was very impressed with the middle linebacker. I thought that core that came together with McMillan, even Jennings off that, he was rushing that Jones quite a lot. God knows why they kept him in for so long, because there was a few occasions where I thought they were just going to pull him out, but they just kept him in. So yeah, I was more, the defensive side did look pretty impressive. But yeah, at the end of the day, like you say, it's preseason 1. Just getting to grips of how the team is going to establish for this year. The more reps these guys get, I think it's better for them to kind of step up. So, but defensive wise, I felt pretty confident in what they produced. If this was the starting team, as they were saying, from the Giants, I think they're going to be quite a hell of a year for the Giants this year, especially with that team that they put out.
Luke, we'll move on to you. What was your main points from this preseason game. Who expressed how good they could possibly be to be in a 53-man roster, who unfortunately didn't make the grade that you were expecting to. So who would you say is your best and worst performers during that game?
I'd give you DJ regarding the linebackers. I think the linebackers did a good, strong game. I was surprised with Jennings. I kind of thought from what I'd seen of him from his rookie year, he was kind of poor really in his rookie season. I know he's injured last year, and then they tried him in the middle, I think, a bit in his rookie year, but he looked like he was just standing wide and just rushing the passer, and I think he played really well. I think one of the players that kind of stood out to me was, and I think he only played relatively limited snaps, but he kind of shows up all the time. Is Daniel Aquale. He'd only played I would say, like I said, limited snaps, but he played quite well. And I think one guy that really needs to kind of watch out for himself, I think, is Ronnie Perkins, because he was third round pick last year. We didn't see him. He wasn't active for any of the games, and then he went on IR, and barely saw him in a preseason game. I mean, that's not good. That really for a team that has lacked pass rushing the last few seasons, for him to not barely be on the field in a preseason game is not good.
No, I think we already spoke about this last week regarding with fresh new linebackers to inject a little bit of pace into the rush as well. I actually think McMillan and Wilson as well, they're going to collaborate so well as the two main linebackers. And as you already said, Anthony Jennings, he was predominantly an edge when he played in Alabama. So he's gone back to his original position, and that is actually what he's very, very good at. But he's making that step now, because he's been the two players for me that have been disappointing for me has been Josh Uche and Anthony Jennings. Uche still got a long way to go yet, but Jennings looks like he's turned the corner, and it looks like he's performing at a very high level. Saw that in the Giants game. He did make some good plays, and he blew up a couple of throws as well. Henrik, we'll move on to you. Your standout performers from this game, and who disappointed?
I'll just go with I think the receivers, they played a good game, and the running backs, they didn't play well. For the receivers, have to start with rookie second round pick Tyquan Thornton. He didn't do much in the game, but what he did was very good. 2 catches for 7 yards, but 1 touchdown, and that touchdown catch was pretty nice. In the end zone, he was covered well for a moment by the opposing cornerback, but he separated well and got open and free, and Brian Hoyer found him. So it was good play by both him and Brian Hoyer. And also the other receivers, Trey Nixon, he showed up. He played a good game, so that's very good. Same with Wilkerson. Wilkerson had a very good game, I would say. He's making it hard not want to keep him in the 53-man roster. So it's going to be very interesting. You also had that young kid, that tall kid, little Jordan Humphrey. He was very productive, so that's good. My expectation for him are not that high. The running back, it felt like we didn't have a running game against the Giants. I think it was very. It's not very disappointing, but I would have liked to see more from the 2 rookies, Pierre Strong Jr. and Kevin Harris. So they got a couple of carries. So I would have wanted to see more. And JJ Taylor was in the game, didn't do anything in particular. So I wasn't very impressed with the running back against the Giants, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the running back strategy is a little bit off at this moment in time. I think while the offense is still trying to get to grips with the supposedly the new Kyle Shanahan schemes, it seems like that the running game is a bit behind. Really struggling. Yeah, I think Pierre Strong really did struggle. Not so much as the fact of him as an actual running back, but we now know obviously James White has retired now, so we wish James White all the best in his retirement. We will always remember Super Bowl 51 because he pretty much should have been MVP in my own estimations, but that's a discussion for another day. His blocking when it comes to his running back, he's now going to be the third down back, the catching running back out of the backfield. His blocking was very poor, to say the least, in that game. He was not up to it at all. I think he's got a lot to learn. This is why James White, he got redshirt in his first year, and he learned under the coach of Shane Vereen. Perfect person to run off, frankly. So that's going to be an issue. Nick, we'll move on to you. What was your who was your players that caught your eye thinking, oh, this one's going to be excellent, and who was like, oh dear, he might not make the cut here?
I had a few takeaways from the game. Okay. I thought, despite what you said about Josh Uche, I know he's been underwhelming. I actually thought he played quite well. Him and Matt Wilson, they both played well. They got some pressures. So I was happy with Josh Uche's improvement, at least based on his game time. The defense was very vanilla. It was very basic, but you don't expect to see anything exciting in preseason. So, again, there wasn't really anything great to take from it. I was impressed and happy that we got some pressures on Daniel Jones. I think we sacked him 3 times quite well. But did anyone notice that Joe Judge has a tell?
I heard this.
I can't take credit for this. This was on the Patriots Unfiltered post.
Yeah, I heard that.
I listened to. Apparently, when Joe Judge calls a running play, he stands there at the line of scrimmage, or he stands level with Matt Jones. But when he calls a passing play, he starts walking to where he wants the ball to be passed to, i.e., how far up the line. If you watch, every time Joe Judge calls a passing play, he's already walking halfway up the line before the play's been got off. So
I didn't notice that.
I think that needs cutting out straight away. I'm sure Bill's on that. But
yeah.
So I can't take the credit for it, but Joe Judge has a tell apparently. So they were the things I took from the. I didn't think Joan Williams had a great game. I thought he was poor. Obviously, he's picked up an injury today, I believe. But they were my takeaways.
Yeah, I think for you to the only one to spot that, I have to start calling you Hawkeye from now on because,
like I said, I can't take the credit. I didn't spot it. I was listening to the post-game show, and it was somebody on the post-game show said it. So I'm just merely relaying it as an informative source.
Yeah, I didn't realise that either. Did they not also split plays like Patricia and Joe Judge? Weren't they splitting plays throughout the whole game?
Yeah.
I think Judge called a few, and Patricia called some.
Well, Patricia, he called all the plays for Brian Hoyer, and then Joe Judge took over for Baylor Zappi, which is, I find it. I mean, like the guys on Patriots Unfiltered and Andy Hart at Six Rings and Football Things, they're very skeptical to the approach that the Patriots are taking with the Patriots offense right now. So it's all right. Patricia for Hoyer, Joe Judge for Zappi, and Bill Belichick for Mac Jones. That's kind of how I'm thinking. It probably won't be like that.
No, it probably won't. We'll probably move on with Matt Patricia. I still think Matt Patricia is going to be the de facto offensive play caller in this. I don't think it's going to be Joe Judge. But the fact Joe Judge being allowed to make plays as well, be allowed to call plays as well, might just give you an insider where it could be toing and throwing, because last season, obviously, we didn't really have a defensive coordinator. It was some of the play calling was done by Steve Belichick, and sometimes the play calling was done by linebackers coach Jared Mayo. So it may be one of those situations, but I personally think it's going to be more Matt Patricia that will that'll get hold of this offense come week 1 against the Dolphins. My takeaway.
Sorry,
carry on.
I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but Matt Patricia spoke to the media yesterday, and he said that he and Joe Judge were collaborating, and he made a comment regarding constructing the offense using both of their abilities. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but that, to paraphrase, is what he said to the media. So I don't know what he means I don't know whether he means I'm going to deal with the linebackers and Judge will deal with the quarterback. I don't know. That's the comment that I picked up from what Matt Patricia told the media yesterday.
I wonder, Nick, is it a case of because I think isn't Patricia the passing game coordinator and Judge is the running game coordinator, or vice versa, or something like that? So
it could be, yeah.
Something as simple as that, is that they're working on the offense together as in that sense, because I think from training camp, the way it's been done is for 7-on-7, where it's all passing. Patricia's been calling the plays, or Judge. I'm sorry, no, I've probably got them switched around, I think. And then when it goes to 11-on-11, then Judge is calling the plays. It actually makes sense if it's the other way around, because Patricia, being the O-line coach, would be
ultimately they both do what Bill Belichick tells them to. So I guess
exactly. And at the end of the day, there I think it's just going to come down to they're under guidance of Belichick. I want short pass, long pass, slants, screen here, and you have a selection of 5 or 6 plays that you can call off that. I mean, the direction is going to be coming from him. That's what I think, anyway.
For me, my takeaways on this was looking out for the new first-round pick, left guard Cole Strange. I thought Strange actually had a decent game. I know he was with the second string offensive line. Look, he appeared to hold his own in the first game. In particular, his run blocking stood out. He executed his role, and he made a key pull block on a 1-back power scheme to clear for JJ Taylor to move the sticks on 3rd and short. I think we've got a good player here in Cole Strange, but it's still very, very early days. I want to see what he's going to be capable of when, instead of having the second stringers, he's now going to have Trent Brown at left tackle, David Andrews as his center. It's going to be very interesting to see how he pans out. And for me, although Tyquan Thornton didn't exactly have much of a game, I think it was 2 catches for 9 yards or something, but he did get the touchdown. And a lot of people say it's a 2-yard touchdown. It's nothing. If you watch the actual play go on, his route running and his quickness at the line. Quickness at the line, his deceptiveness at the top of the route, and his explosiveness through the break are legit on top of his speed. He is going to be a problem. Yeah, and it begs the question, because we spoke about this already because of Nelson Aguilar. If Thornton continues on this trajectory, would Aguilar then become expendable? Because I'm already seeing trade scenarios where we could trade him to. So we could trade him to Chicago. They've buggered up one of our receivers already. No offense to N'Keal Harry. There's also a trade possibility for the Dallas Cowboys because they've got no Amari Cooper anymore. So there are ways that New England could trade Aguilar if Thornton continues on this trajectory. But we will have to see. I mean, will Aguilar make the 53-man roster? For me personally, I think he will. But when you got 2 deep threats, not to mention Devontae Parker as your ex-receiver, you're going to have a lot of players downfield. That just opens it up wide open for the likes of Jacoby Myers to run in the slot and run slants and flats. You then got Kendrick Bourne to run the intermediate routes and can get middle when you open the field. Not to mention Hunter Henry can also get into that position as well as. So there are different ways we can work around this. But if Thornton continues the way he is, it might be time for maybe to trade Aguilar. I mean, I don't know what the panel thinks. DJ, what do you think?
Yeah, I think exactly what you just stated there. I reckon if he carries on the way he is on for these next 2 preseason games, I think Bill would have to think about either, like you say, trading him or cutting him. I don't know what the value or how much salary we would save or what kind of dead cap we'll get by cutting him. I think it's around 4 mil, isn't it, if we cut him?
Yeah.
But
It's
and I heard something around 9 million if we was to either trade him or keep his contract. Right. But I think Thornton, he's the type of player to me where the defense will, how do I put it, will try and probably drag back more. Like he'll produce more fouls, like foul plays, and like on that touchdown, for example, that defender couldn't keep hold of him, and he had to drag him back to be able to have a chance.
He had his hand on his jersey.
Exactly. So he's the type of players where if we need a couple of yards, Mac might just bomb it, see if they can get a flag out of it, even if it doesn't make the touch. But I think Aguilar's going to be on thin ice on this 53 man squad. That's my opinion.
Anybody else have a opinion on this?
Yeah, I think the problem with Aguilar is I think he's going to be difficult to move on. He's got the 10 million dead cap and he's got a 14 million salary this year. So it was nearly a fully backloaded contract. I think it was like 6 or 7 million the first year and it's 14 the second year. So it was a terrible contract. I think everybody would agree that when we signed him because he'd been so up and down in years previous. But I think from a trade point of view, it's going to be tough. I mean, he's a guy that we don't want, and because he isn't a great deep threat, who's going to pay 14 million for a cast off from the Patriots, who have a good receiving core but not a great receiving core. That would be my takeaway on that.
Okay, Henrik, Nick.
I can't see us getting rid of him, to be honest. I think the cap hit's too high. I can't see a trade partner for the deal. I think we're stuck with him for this season, and then he's cut at no cost next season, is my opinion.
Okay. Henrik?
Yeah, I find that what Nick said is probably most likely. If we can find a good trade partner that wants to take over his salary, then yeah, that's a way to get him to another team. But I find that unlikely, but it might happen. So probably he'll remain with the Patriots for the season, and he's in a contract year, so he wants to contribute and do a good job. So I think it's okay for both the Patriots and Aguilar if he stays with the team.
Yeah. Okay. Right. We'll move on to our next subject. Obviously, we've now got 3 more days of training camp. Yesterday was just in shells. Today, however, the Carolina Panthers come to town because it's our first of 2 joint practices. Let's go around the horn first and see what everybody thought about it. Luke, we'll start with you. What stood out for you during our first joint practice with the Panthers?
I think it's the receivers. I think what we've seen so far is that Devontae Parker had a good day. I think that's key, really, to be honest, because you've traded for him to be your number one. I think one of the things that we need to see from him is he's great going for the jump balls, but we need to see him getting open too, because just doing the 50-50 catches he's kind of, I don't want to say N'Keal Harry because he's a lot better than N'Keal Harry, but we want to see a bit more than that. We can't just have him going for 50-50 balls. Now that'll be a useful red zone threat, of course, but I think it was good to see that he was having a good day against, I would say, a very good secondary as well.
Henrik, we move on to you. What was your standout?
I really like what I'm hearing about Ty Montgomery. I also think it's interesting that he didn't play against against the Giants. So that must mean Bill Belichick and the Patriots think very highly of him. But he's being consistent still now with the new with the practices with the Panthers. So I'm like so many other players that we didn't get to watch in the first game against the Giants. I'm very excited to watch Ty Montgomery in his Patriots debut and see what he can contribute.
Do you think the Ty Montgomery issue is more to do with now what happened with White, where he's effectively retired? He would then now become that third pass back catch up.
It wouldn't surprise. It wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think it would surprise me. I don't think it would surprise me if Pierre Strong got redshirted for his rookie season. It's because if Ty Montgomery continues on the trajectory, I mean, you could use him for different scenarios. He is basically the Swiss Army knife in this Patriots offense.
Yeah. To answer your question, I think this is DJ. I think it's a given that Ty Montgomery is going to perform the duties that James White has been doing, and to be honest, I think Bill Belichick was thinking this back in March when he signed Ty Montgomery. He knew that, first of all, he knew what kind of player Montgomery was, and he also knew that James White was not a certainty to continue as a player in the league. So now he's retired.
They can use him like wide receiver as well, because he didn't play for wide receiver in the Saints.
Yeah.
He did play receiver. He did play as receiver. I mean, that's why he's so versatile, and that's Belichick's trait. Versatile. Right. You're a Patriot, so
special teams.
Teams.
He'll fit in. He'll fit in. That's the point.
Definitely.
I think he's already taken Brandon Bolden's kind of role as the personal protector and things like that and punt. So I think. Great point.
What happened to Bolden? Did he retire?
Oh, no, he's gone to Oakland. Oakland. He's gone to the Raiders, sorry.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Oakland.
Las Vegas.
By everybody around for that.
Say the name Oakland, and the people in that city will just cry. Anyway, Luke, we'll move on to you. What was your standout performers, and is there anything that's slightly worrying you with regarding of what we saw so far in training camp?
Me or Nick?
Luke, you.
Nick.
Oh yeah, sorry. Again, just I think something that I'd like to see as well a bit more is seeing, I suppose, going forward is how our cornerbacks get on. It's a very kind of untested group in terms of, I don't want to say untested, but untested, I suppose, for the Patriots. So you've got Butler and Mitchell. Mitchell, I think, has been a kind of stalwart kind of number 2 corner throughout the league. He's kind of projecting to be our number 1 really at the moment. Is Butler going to be the Malcolm Butler, or at least a close facsimile of what he's been over the last few years? Obviously, he was out last year, so it'll be interesting to see how they get on again against the team that has a decent receiving group.
Yeah. Nick, what about you?
The takeaways I had from today, listening to the review, the offense showed some improvement. Matt James hit Parker for a few passes. The run game wasn't as successful as it has been the past week or two, but nevertheless, the offense has shown improvement, and apparently our defense manhandled Carolina. So I don't believe Christian McCaffrey got anything going. So Judon and Wise and Godchar all played well today, or trained well today. So ultimately, I think it's Patriots 1, Carolina 0, and we've had a good day.
It has been. I think the defense once again continues to surprise me and amaze me, because we were worrying about, is the defense going to actually regress this year because of the cornerback issue that we have with no JC Jackson, and it actually turns out the defense is actually playing up to its potential more than the offense is, which is even more scary. But no, Marcus Jones, for me, the more Marcus Jones is playing so well right now. He's actually kicked Jonathan Jones out to the outside now, and now Marcus Jones is manning the slot. Jack Jones, for me, I think he is going to be a problem during that. Sorry, just to go back to the Giants game. Okay, there was 3 throws that went Jack Jones's way. All of them were all past breakups. Some poor quarterback sucker is going to get pick 6 in the season by Jack Jones. I'll put a little bet on it right now, but that's how I see about it. DJ, what about your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I've been reading a lot about how Mac is now connecting with Parker as the days go on. I think it's like 70% wise he's hitting Parker. Most intriguing position that I was mainly like to see more was about the cornerback. So who's going to be panning out to be that number 1-2 CB? So I think Mills is definitely topping that department at the moment. Although, to be honest, I'm not feeling that confident on Mills to be our number 1 cornerback, but he's having a decent camp, so we'll give him that. But yeah, and the O-line seemed to be coming together as well, protecting Jones. And like you say, McCaffrey's not been producing much out of the back end, so that seems all good from our end.
Yeah. Right. For me, joint practices, there's always going to be a little bit of edginess, a little bit of needle to it, because you're not just going up against, you're not going against your former teammates, you're going up against your opponents, even though it is meant to be joint practicing. But another fight escalated in the Patriots camp again, and this time it got even more
Worse.
Yeah. Right. Okay. The competition and intensity was dialed up. Both sides, they were lined up against new opponents. Okay. After a clean completion to Christian Wilson near the Panthers sideline, the first brawl ensued. According to reporters, it was very hard to see what had happened, but shortly punches were being thrown and both fields cleared as players joined. Wilkerson ended up getting thrown out, as did Kendrick Bourne as well. And then the very next play, the chippiness continued as Trent Brown got into some rough activities with a Carolina defensive lineman. Not sure who it was, but the situation resolved before an all-out fracas. However, another ball ensued as James Ferentz, the center, ended up on the ground in a matchup with what appeared to be Carolina defender Phil Hoskins. Hoskins was immediately removed, and Ferentz pleaded his case with Belichick. He was then removed after ruling from referee Brad Allen. Didn't realize you had referees in training camp, but my mistake. Following the second scrap, Belichick put a halt to practice and gathered his team for a meeting. I'll probably say this: Bill Belichick was pretty pissed off about that when all this was ensuing, because that's not his cup of tea at all.
Style.
That's not his style. But it is training camp. There's gonna, especially when you got another team coming for you for joint practices, I guarantee you, there's not at least one competitive training camp where there's one fracas in a team per training camp.
Happens every year.
It happens every year. It's called competition, Even though it's practice, you want to win your battles. If you win your battles, great. But that's
probably more trash talking as well.
There was a lot of drawing. According to what I was seeing with the Kendrick
Harris,
with the Harris one, there was a lot of drawing going on. So it doesn't really. That's basically throwing fuel onto the fire, frankly, on that basis. Right, let's move into our third and second to last segment, and that is, of course, our preview show with the Carolina Panthers, which will be for us here in the UK, will be the early hours of Saturday morning. DJ, what are your points? Who are you looking out for in this game? Are we officially going to see Mac Jones and the starting team come out for the first drive of this game?
That's what I'm still. I'm not 100% sure on yet. I'd like to see how we develop within the next couple of days. I think I'd like to see him go out there and take a couple of snaps, even if it's 1, 2, 3 first drives, and then I think that'll be the rest for him for the day. But yeah, like I say, it'll be intriguing to see what they do. Is Parker going to be more out there? Are we going to get all the wide receivers out there with the running backs, proper O-line as well? Are we going to go out full swing for that first couple of drives? Or is Belichick going to do similar to what he did with the Giants, where he might just pull back on a couple of players and think, maybe not yet, and just leave him for the third game? But yeah, like I say, it's important for these rookies and for these second-year guys to get these reps in to see what they've actually learned in that first year and to see how they pan out to be on the field on the actual game day. Sure, it'll be a nice, interesting game because I'd like to see what the Panthers are also going to do as well, who they're rolling with. Is it going to be Baker? Is it going to be Darnold? Is it going to be Matt Corral? Is it the rookie?
Yeah, Matt
Corral,
Corral, yeah.
So, yeah, also McCaffrey looks. Let's see what he can do on the field as well.
Nick, what about you? Who are you looking out for in this game?
I wouldn't mind a win. It's always nice to have a win. I think it'd be nice to see the starters play some sort of action. I think the fact that they didn't play last week says pretty much they're going to get some game time, a couple of drives maybe. I just want to see some consistency. I want to see us build on what we did good last week against the Giants, what we're doing well in camp. I just want to see the Patriots move forward and actually show some progress. That's all I want.
Yeah, well, we all want progress. We all want progress, but we also need to work out as well because the cuts are arriving pretty soon for the 53-man roster. This is probably the game where, if you actually perform at a very, very decent level, there's a good chance you'll get in. If you're poor, you're going to end up getting cut or maybe onto the practice squad. So it's going to be...
When's the 85? Is it now, is it? Or was it Tuesday?
No, I think it was tonight.
Today, is it?
It's tonight.
9 o'clock.
4 p.m. Eastern should have been the time of the cut-off point.
o'clock.
So, yeah.
But I thought we was already down to that level because now Williams is out for the season. White retired. I'm pretty sure we came in with 87-ish.
I think we're 87. I think we signed a DB as well. So
we did sign a defensive back. So
I think I think theoretically what would probably happen is as I was kind of saying in the group earlier, that the Joan goes to IR and then one of Nordine and Stuber goes to IR as well. I think probably Nordine because he's NFI. I think they'll probably pay him off anyway. I don't think they plan on keeping him around at all. So I think that'll be your 85 there. With Joan going to IR. If they're 100% sure he's not coming back now, I also think he wasn't going to be here at the end at part of the 53 anyway.
DJ?
Yeah, as I said before, I'd like to see if we're going to get the starters out, especially with Parker, and obviously see if we can get Hunter Henry on there as well. I think he left. I don't think he was out there playing today. I don't know if it was due to injury or they were just keeping
limited. It was limited.
Practice.
So
we'll see. We'll see what they can do, and obviously, all the wide receivers I'd like to see have a couple of drives out there, see what they can produce.
Okay, Henrik, what are you looking into this game?
Yeah, I feel the same as DJ. I'm looking forward to seeing the wide receivers out there, and at the same time, I am curious to know how much Mac Jones and the rest of the starters will actually play. So, but yeah, in terms of the wide receivers, I want to see Bourne. I want to see. It's going to be interesting to see if Bourne and Aguilar and Parker and Myers all get to play, and if they do, I just want to see Parker get some. If he plays 1 or 2 drives and gets some contested ball thrown his way, and see how he does on that. And with Aguilar, same with him. If he plays 1 or 2 drives, can he get it open? Can he be productive? And Bourne, always excited to see him play, so it's going to be great no matter what. And Myers is Mr. Reliable. So I'm looking forward to seeing the wide receivers, and not to mention Trey Nixon and Christian Wilkerson, and maybe even also little Jordan Humphrey if he gets to have an impact 2 games in a row. So it's going to be exciting, especially if we have to believe that Mac Jones and the Stars will play at least a couple of drives. It would be very, very weird if they didn't play at all. So it's going to be exciting to see Mac Jones.
Sound like Edelman there. Gotta believe.
You gotta believe, exactly.
End of the story.
I've got a couple of key factors I'm looking into here. First of all, I'm looking on the offensive line for New England. I'm looking at specifically the right tackle position, okay? Look, due to the uncertain status of Isaiah Wynn, he's basically a seesawing battle right now, which is who is Justin Herron as well. Because you got him, you also got a 3rd-round pick, Yoni Kajust as well. They had opportunities with the top unit over the last week. Herron, he was limited, so it opened the door.
He needs to work on his flags, doesn't he?
Massively. He had two false start penalties in the preseason opener against the Giants. Kajust, he has some very, very high upside moments when he flashes excellent footwork and athleticism, but he is still a bit too inconsistent for me. A big test is coming up in Carolina's Brian Burns. Burns has speed and a bend to turn a tight corner. They are elite traits. If Kajust holds up against Burns and stops the quarterback from being sacked, this might be a hot take here, but I think Kajust could actually beat the job out to Wynn and Herron.
Oh yeah,
it would be promising if he could hold his own against Brian Burns.
Yeah.
I think Burns had a couple of sacks today on Jones, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
he's a good player. He's a good player for the Panthers.
At the draft, he was well advocated there. And also Cole Strange, his 2nd preseason game, needs more of him. We'll watch how he handles one of the most powerful defensive tackles in the game, and that's in Derek Brown. Look, the Auburn product has a little Vince Wilfork to his game. Obviously, when Vince Wilfork comes out, you know it's like a humongous bus about to hit you. So, look, he is an immovable object against the run. He can also collapse the pocket in passing situations. So for me, look, Strange had issues at times in the summer with power rushes. So I'm going to evaluate him very, very hard when Brown will give as good as he got looking at his progressions. So for me, I think the offensive line, watching those 2 players in particular, are going to be my eye for attack. And obviously, seeing how Tyquan Thornton gets on, and that hopefully he gets another touchdown, and then maybe we see a real bomb by Mac Jones to him, which will just send the crowd mad, send us mad as well. So hopefully,
do you think? But at the same time, you want to save those huge plays from Thornton when the regular season comes. But anyways, I get the enthusiasm because I think he is going to be the best receiver the Patriots have drafted since Deion Branch. I'm not the only one who thinks that, but I think we got ourselves a good receiver, and that's.
I'm not sure we're going to see Thornton in the first string with Mac, as in this preseason game. I'm not convinced we'll see it because I think there's too many. You want to get the likes of Myers in there. You want to get the likes of Bourne, Aguilar, and I just don't. Can't be wrong. I might be wrong, but
I think you're right. I think we'll see Thornton with the Hoyer or Zappi.
Down in the 2nd, 3rd quarter.
It's kind of Bill Belichick's mindset as well. Even if Thornton is having the best camp, he's still going to remind him that he's still just a first-year player and a rookie.
You have to earn it. Is that right?
Right. That's what it's all about.
Yep. You got to earn your stripes. Okay, we're almost at the end of our podcast for this episode, but we do have a special announcement, and I'm not going to announce it. I'm going to let our resident DJ Ferrero do the announcement. So our fearless, indeed, our fearless leader.
No fearless leader. We're all in it together. There's no fearless leaders here. I just wanted to give everyone the heads up that we've actually hit a milestone within regards to the actual Patriots Touchback brand itself. So we've hit over just over 100 followers on the Twitter page, which is amazing. I mean, we've started 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe a month into it now. We've had a lot of collaboration and help from the Full 10 Yards, which are actually kind of like sponsoring us to be able to do this today. So I just wanted to thank you all. Thank you all for the listeners. Thank you for everyone that's following us. We're trying to get more content out there as we're going along. I'm sure now that the season's starting to kick off, we've got preseason, we've got the cuts coming, we'll probably see some trades, some pick up the free agencies, and then we'll go bang into the season. So content will be more available out there. This is why Luke's actually come on board, because he's going to be our content guy that would be able to post a lot of things on for Patriots content. And like I say, just bear with us. We'll be here for the rest of the season. I just wanted to thank you all for making it happen here today. So cheers, guys.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank you.
Those 50 accounts I created on Twitter was so hard work.
Yeah.
Just to follow them.
I'll give you the 50 quid later, yeah?
That's really good. That is really good for
Before we finish, I think we're doing ourselves a great disservice if we don't talk about James White.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, when our podcast starts, you hear James White winning the Super Bowl for us. I remember screaming so loud I woke my whole house up doing that. I paid for it the next day. I had to do some jobs. My wife made me do jobs because I'd woke the house up. But the guy's been Mr. Consistent, and you just need to listen to what his fellow players have said over the last few days since he's retired. And I just think, in a time where loyalty doesn't come often, and the career of an NFL running back is so small, I just think we've done really well to have James White at the Patriots for such a productive time. And when I think about everything that had gone on in his private life over the last couple of years, and he's kept going, when he's fit, he's got on the field, he's run the yards. You can't ask for anything more. And for me, he'll sit there alongside Brady and Edelman, and as a major contributor to the last 5 years of Patriots success.
It's more than that even. He's been out for since 2014.
8 years, I think.
Yeah.
8. One known fact about James White: he was with New England for 8 years. Didn't fumble the ball once. That is the dictionary definition of reliability.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can't. And I'll say this now. Even though we made the miraculous comeback against the Falcons in Super Bowl 51, without James White, I don't think we would have been able to do it.
No, not at all.
He doesn't get enough credit. He does not get enough credit for what he did in that game.
Yeah.
They gave MVP to Tom Brady, and obviously because it is the vote. But if you looked at it from an actual football game standpoint, it was James White's. It was James White's. I don't care what anybody says. It was James White's MVP. Mm-hmm. But he'll always be. A lot of people usually refer to some of their players as like the people's champion, that sort of thing. Well, James White was a people's champion for us during that run. So we wish
he was the Patriots Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Within the next, I'll probably say within the next. I don't know. I would like to say within the maximum of the next 10 years, we will see him in the Patriots Hall of Fame. But
will he make
look,
it? Will he make it to Canton? Do you think?
No,
no, unfortunately, no. No.
I
It's a
mean,
shame.
I don't think he'll make it to Canton.
We're
Same with Edelman. I don't think Edelman will make it to
No.
Canton.
Yeah,
both of them are nailed on for Patriots Hall of Fame.
Yeah, as they should be.
Yeah, we're still banging the drum of can we get Edelman into the actual NFL Hall of Fame? And I just think, as much as what he did for New England, it doesn't, it doesn't scream out Hall of Fame.
They were, both of them were great for New England. They won games for New England. They were incredible. But for the Hall of Fame, you have to be the greatest for a certain amount of time. And the truth is, neither White or Edelman changed the game or was the biggest impact player or among the best players while they played. But great Patriots players and true Patriots players. So it's great to see them. It will be great to have both of them in the Patriots Hall of Fame. But Canton, there's other players that are better than have had better career than them, and they're not going to go into the Hall of Fame. So unfortunately, no, not these two guys.
You say you have to be the best of the best to get into Canton. I'll remind you when Eli Manning gets into Canton, but that's not necessarily true because you know he's with his he's going to make it, and that's a shocking decision.
But I mean, what other player, what other quarterback can say? I went to the Super Bowl and I beat Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm Eli Manning. That's he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Nick Foles,
but not twice.
He'll get it.
Yeah, no, but no, Foles is not even in the conversation. But Manning, he is. He's not the greatest, not the best, but he was a top quarterback, and he showed it at least twice against the Patriots, and it still hurts to this day. But and
as a result of that, Nick, you are banned from next week's episode because you mentioned Eli Manning. So bye bye.
Yes. You hurt my feelings here, Nick. I'm gonna have a hard time for at least a week.
I just thought I can't believe that there are some players that don't get into Canton, and then there is going to be this one player who gets in just because of who his brother is. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. I don't think he deserves to be there, but he will get there. I don't think he should be.
It's. What about Gronk? I think Gronk will get there.
Yes.
Gronk will get there.
First ballot Hall of Famer. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
And Brady, they're shoo-ins. The question is, who's the next Patriots that are going to get in? And I want to hear if you guys have any names. I think for me, it's hopefully, Vince Wilfork.
Yeah, Vince.
Yeah, it has to be
Vince.
Vince.
I don't know. Vince, obviously, we spoke last week. His ceremony to get into the Patriots Hall of Fame next month. I don't know whether Vince will make it. No, I don't think Vince will make it to Canton. Thinking about the next Patriots player to make it to Canton,
if you're not going to say Wilfork, it's got to be you got to have another name.
I would throw a name out there.
Gronk, because he's retired before Brady has.
No, besides Gronk and Brady, obviously, but you have Adam Vinatieri. You could have said him, or Rodney Harrison, perhaps. But I think Wilfork's more likely.
No, I don't think
Harrison.
the only kicker right now is going to end up in the Hall of Fame is Justin Tucker.
Yeah, but Adam Vinatieri is getting into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he's going to be first ballot, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, he should be.
Of course he will. He is, in fact, the greatest kicker of all time, even though he's been playing for Colts.
I think
I'd rather have Justin Tucker over Adam Vinatieri.
Oh, come on.
All right. We'll leave.
All
right. Time out.
Ding, ding.
We'll save that for the kicker podcast.
No, I'll end. No, never mind. I'll go. I'll save it to another time.
All right. Stop it now. Stop it. Okay. We're gonna get on out of here. DJ, Luke, Henrik, Nick, thank you all for coming on. An absolute fantastic show we've had indeed. Please make sure you follow us on Twitter and at Patriots Touchback on Twitter and also on Facebook as well. Please also follow us on our podcast on Spotify. Don't think we're on iTunes. Are we on iTunes yet or not yet?
No, not yet. That's next in
No,
line. We've got YouTube.
Okay, that's Spotify, and we're also on YouTube channel. So please make sure you're smashing the likes on that video, share the content, and subscribe to the channel while you are at it. We will be back for another episode next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday. And just as a little caveat, moving into the Panthers Patriots game on my little local channel, you'll see down there, KB Sports. I will be doing a live stream for the Panthers Patriots game on my YouTube channel, KB Sports, in association with the Patriots Touchback podcast. So please make sure that you join in for that as well. Hopefully it'll be exciting, and hopefully we'll see some amazing plays, and also watch Baker Mayfield's face get crushed. That's the end of our show, guys. See you soon, and we'll be back again. Go Patriots!
Laters.